Hello guys, welcome back to your English class. Today I'm going to explain you the activities from your book, from the Unit 5, and that it's called Bad Memories. Objectives: expressing continuing past actions in negative form. Now, we're going to start with the exercise 5.2. That it says, read the text again and answer the questions. Now, as you can see, we have a text next to the questions, so we have to read the text first, and when we finish reading we have to complete the questions that we have on exercise 5.2. Okay, so it says, forgotten habits. The teacher wasn't checking the homework last week when my friend had an asthma attack. He wasn't taking his medicine because he felt fine. My teacher helped him and asked questions about his activities. He wasn't doing anything unusual. He wasn't playing any sport. He wasn't walking home, of course. And he wasn't smoking. And an ambulance came and took him to hospital. The principal went with them, and one paramedic said he was not breathing easily, but he was going to be okay. The principal returned from the hospital and said that my friend wasn't eating enough fruit and vegetables, and for that reason his lungs were not working normally. My friends and I decided to eat more healthy food. I wasn't drinking enough water, so I changed that, and now I drink almost 1 liter per day. My friend came back and he was telling us about his bad experience. When we noticed something different, he was taking the medicine and he didn't want to take before. Okay, so we have the text, and according with information on this part, we have the questions. So the first question says, what happened while the teacher was checking the homework? Number 2, what caused his attack? Number 3, mention 3 things he wasn't doing. 4, what did the paramedic say? 5, what was the real cause of his attack? And what was the different now with his friend? Okay, now you have to read it and check what would be the right answers. Now, on exercise 5.3, it says, use the verbs in brackets to write negative sentences in past progressive. Follow the example. Okay, in this case, the idea is you have to add wasn't or weren't in your sentences, wasn't or weren't, and the verb that you have in brackets into ing or gerund form. For example, the example says, Marianne wasn't preparing dinner. Okay, number 1, Lawrence, singular. Lawrence wasn't browsing the web. Lawrence wasn't browsing the web. Number 2, Megan, singular. Megan wasn't shopping, double P. Megan wasn't shopping, double P. And Hector wasn't sailing the yacht with his wife. Hector wasn't sailing the yacht with his wife. Okay, and you have to complete the rest. Now, the next exercise. Exercise 5.8, it says, complete the following sentences with a negative auxiliary. You need to form the past continuous form. Now, in this part, you just need to add the auxiliary in the first line, was or were, and in the second line, you have to write not, all of them. For example, they were not cleaning the house. They were watching TV. Okay, for example, in number 1, Amanda is singular. Amanda was not washing her clothes yesterday. Amanda was not washing her clothes yesterday. Number 2, John and Dirk. John and Dirk are plural, so we have to write were not doing their homework. John and Dirk were not doing their homework. And Christina singular, was not talking by the phone. Christina was not talking by the phone. And you have to complete number 4, 5, 6, and 7 by yourself. Okay? And the last activity from your student's book, you have Use the words from negative statements in past, progressive, and follow the example. In this case, we have example: emergency numbers were not attending all the calls. Emergency numbers were not attending all the calls. Okay, emergency numbers is plural, so we use were. Negative, weren't, and the verb in ing. The idea is you have to follow and you have to check if your subject is singular, wasn't, or is it plural, weren't, and the verb that you have in the middle you have to write it in ing. For example, in number 6, Europe, singular, Europe wasn't leaving anything to chance. Europe wasn't leaving anything to chance. Or China, singular, China wasn't doing military exercises. China wasn't doing military exercises. And number 4, other countries, plural, other countries weren't waiting for the wave. Other countries weren't waiting for the wave. Okay, and you have to complete number 1, 2, and 3 by yourself. Now, in your workbook, you have exercise 5.2. Use the correct auxiliary to complete these sentences. Now, in this case, you have 8 sentences, and what are you gonna do? You have to add: is it was, singular, or were, is it plural, your subject. For example, number 1, you have my friends, plural, my friends weren't, my friends were not helping with the expo. My friends were not helping with the expo. Number 2, Henry, singular, Henry was driving me to hospital. Henry was driving me to hospital. And Michael and John, plural, Michael and John were not studying today. And you have to complete 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 by yourself. Okay? Now, on exercise 5.3, it says write negative sentences in past progressive. Use the clues and follow the example. Now, it says you have the subject, the verb in simple form, and its complement. You have to write the auxiliary, wasn't or weren't, the verb in ing, and the complement. For example, Kate wasn't changing her curtains. Now, in this part, you have to add, for example, they, plural, they weren't, the verb fight in ing, fighting, they weren't fighting last night. They weren't fighting last night. Or number 2, Jean, singular, wasn't, listen in ing, listening. Jean wasn't listening to the professor. Jean wasn't listening to the professor. Okay? Now, on exercise 5.4, it says choose the correct verb from the box and change them to a continuous form to complete the sentences below. Now, in this part, you have 10 sentences, okay? And at the first part, you have a box with different verbs: expect, attend, wear, fix, play, give, tell, eat, take, and fight. The idea is you have to complete the sentences with the verb in ing. Okay, don't forget to check if you have to add the verb in ing. For example, the first one, the band was not, because there was no power. The band was not playing, maybe the band was not playing because there was no power. Or number 2, Victor was not the computer, he was talking to his mother. Victor was not fixing the computer, he was talking to his mother. And number 3, Steve and Richard were not eating, maybe, at the cafeteria yesterday. Okay, and you have to complete the rest: 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, and the last exercise, you have exercise 5.8. Use the verb in brackets and complete with was and were in negative and the verb in ing. For example, you have the subject they, you have to write weren't, and the verb in ing, feel, feeling. They weren't feeling ill. Or number 2, she, negative, wasn't copy, ing, copying in the exam. She wasn't copying in the exam. Or number 3, Jake, singular, wasn't buying a present. Jake wasn't buying a present. Okay, and you have to complete the rest. And that's all, guys. Thanks for watching this video. I hope that you're okay. Take care. See you soon. Bye bye.